Welcome to another video for Eberhart's Outdoors. This one's going to be on something that I honestly don't think I've ever seen anybody do a video on before, which I'm going to do a lot of those. So stuff that doesn't get a lot of attention. I've been bow hunting for a lot of years and I've accumulated a lot of stuff. I've bought a lot of stuff and used it, and it didn't work very well, so I gave it to some other people. A lot of it I gave them to my kids, as they could attest. But this here stuff, most of this stuff works pretty good. These are some saws I still have, a few of them. I've got more. And I think I'm going to start with what's the most common, is the folding saw. Now, this is something I carry in my hunting pack. It's quite unique. I don't even remember where I bought it, but it has Sierra teeth. I'm a huge Sierra tooth guy as far as the saw blade having Sierra teeth as opposed to anything else. I won't even buy it if it doesn't have Sierra teeth. And this has really tiny Sierra teeth, as you can see. And basically, once I gut a deer, I cut the pelvic bone with that, and then I can pull all the, the pea bag and the stuff out of it. So this here is a nice, lightweight, fits in my pack, and I don't care how big a bucks I've shot, this little pelvic saw with Sierra teeth cuts through it like butter. As far as folding saws, Corona makes an absolutely awesome folding saw because it's got a longer blade on it, and it also has a curve to it. Most of your folding saws are going to be your standard lengths, like this, and I'm going to show them to you later. This one here has, I think, a 10 or 11 inch blade. So this one here, the longer the blade, the longer the stroke. And the longer the stroke, the more you're cutting with each stroke. So it takes a lot less work. And also having a curved blade, just the way you cut on a tree, a curved blade cuts through faster than a straight blade. So the only one I've ever seen that makes something like this is Corona. And Corona is typically found in hardware stores or mass merchants. Another company that makes one similar to this, and it's an excellent saw, is Wicked. Wicked makes a little bit longer folding saw than anybody else in the sporting goods side, and Wicked kind of started out as a sporting goods saw. So Wicked and Corona, you may want to Google Corona if you want to buy them. You probably have to get them online. As far as just general folding saws, there's lots of them. Some of them have, this is a Gerber, has a little push button here. Again, it's Sierra teeth. Very aggressive. Gerber has extremely aggressive teeth, and it has extremely good steel. Gerber makes an excellent folding saw. This is an old Trophy line. Obviously, it's old because Trophy line was gone for a while, and now they're back in business, but Trophy line used to have folding saws as well. Here's a brand new one. I used to be on Trophy Line's pro staff. This is a Sandvik. Again, it has a Sierra teeth. Sandviks are made in Europe. Excellent saw. This here's a camp saw. This one here was made by Eastman Outdoors. They don't make them anymore. But what's kind of unique about this is it has these little fold-up rings, and they have teeth on them. So basically, these are designed to, you cut a stick, and the stick goes in here, and it goes in here, and then you kind of pull this down and pull that down, and it bites into the stick. So it's basically having a little hand folding saw, and you can make some semblance of an extension saw out of it. So those, I've used these a lot in the past years before they made good folding saws. I don't even know what brand that is. Now this here is another, this is a Gorilla. This one's no longer made. Had very aggressive, again, Sierra teeth. Now this one here is an HME. This is one of the cheesiest little saws I've ever used. It's not very good. HME, even though it had Sierra teeth blade, I've kind of wore them out. HME made really chintzy saws. I've got a camp saw over there that by HME. It's pretty cheesy also. Huey Man. Huey Man was probably, as far as I know, they were the first company to bring hand saws into the hunting market, especially, I should say, extension saws into the sporting goods hunting market. And this was what they started with, and this is basically their hand folding saw. And their hand folding saw, it attaches to these. Now, here's the saw that actually comes with it. So you've got a hand folding saw. Wicked also makes a better one of these. It has a lot better saw on the end. But this one here is a 10-footer by Huey Man. And it has Sierra teeth. And when I say Wicked makes a better one, this goes on real cheesy. And basically you're plastic to plastic, it just slides into this little groove, and that's how it locks on. So you can't put a lot of pressure on it without breaking the head, breaking this right here. So these are kind of cheesy. The extension's awesome. These extensions are really, really nice. It's tubular aluminum. And they make a 10-footer. And they make a 5-footer, which is right here. Same deal. So the 5-footer, it folds down so small that you can actually put it in a backpack. And the saw is attached to the side. You just pop it off, slide it into this groove. Now again, Wicked is, Huey Man and Wicked are probably the two only sporting goods companies that are actually making saws for sporting goods trade. You know, Dick's, large independents, stuff like that. They'll typically carry one of those two brands. Wicked, in my opinion, is far superior than Huey Man because on the extension saws, where they hook up, it's a lot more solid. You can actually put pressure on it to cut branches. This one here, if you put much pressure on it, you'll just break that plastic sleeve. And here's a Wicked saw. Now, this is not a Wicked extension saw, but it's just a Wicked folding saw, and they make these in different lengths as well as 10-foot extension saws and shorter extension saws. Wicked has extremely good steel, very well-made saws, as you can see. A lot of metal on it. So, sporting goods-wise, best saw you can get is Wicked, hands down. And here's another one of those camp saws, which you put a stick on. And a lot of companies, I shouldn't say a lot. I know Wicked and I know Huey Man does because they make extension saws and they're huge in the sporting goods market. They actually sell replacement saw blades. So I typically, if I'm going to go out and buy a saw, I want to buy one from a manufacturer where I can buy blades that are half the cost of the saw. As opposed to buying a whole new saw, why not just buy blades? And typically when I buy blades, you know, like these kind of blades for my camp saws, I buy them by the dozen. I'll actually call the manufacturer, and if I buy a dozen, they usually give me a deal. So I buy them by the dozen. I go through saw blades a lot for the same reason as today. I've been out prepping. We prepped a location today. I did some scouting, and I'm a little bit on the tired side. So next, I'm going to step over here. I wouldn't be caught dead scouting a location without a camp saw. And when I say a camp saw, I'm talking a saw with a longer throw blade on it. Far and away, the best saws made in the marketplace are made by Silky. This here's a Silky. It's not sold in sporting goods. They're basically sold in specialty shops, chainsaw shops. Steel also makes a saws very similar to Silky. That's a $90 saw. So you buy a Silky, you're going to spend a lot of money, but they are worth it. It's got an extremely long blade. So each one of your strokes, you're cutting a lot of material. Comes with a really nice sheath. Second would probably be, and these are kind of a reasonable price point. That one's 90 bucks. These are about 30, 25 to 30. And this is a Corona. And a Corona saw, again, Sierra teeth, very, very aggressive. pretty decent steel, not as good as Silky. Silky's hands down the best. But a Corona, excellent saw, curved blade, little shorter blade. I don't know, I think this is a 13 or 14 inch blade. That's a 15-inch blade. And you can get sheaths for them. Usually when you buy them, they don't come with sheaths. You got to get the sheaths separate. Here's another Corona saw. Very aggressive and long, deep Sierra teeth on it. This thing really cuts. Anytime you get something with Sierra teeth, it's going to cut very aggressively and very fast. And let me show you what I mean by the difference. Okay, now this is a look at the difference in the teeth on this Silky saw, those Sierra teeth, and how aggressive they are, and on this Corona saw versus this. You will get tired so easy cutting trees with this because it's going to take a lot of strokes and you're going to have to put a lot of pressure on the saw. These almost self-cut. You put a little bit of pressure on them and they just cut. Back on the extension saws that have really nice aggressive Sierra teeth blades, you don't even have to put any pressure. Just the weight of the extension, you pull on the extension, just the weight of the extension because it's at an angle, you just pull on and it'll cut it by itself. I mean, they are just bad. And here's a couple other ones. This is an HME, kind of a camp saw, and that's got some real cheap Sierra teeth on it, and this is really cheap steel. Very inexpensive. I got that for free, or there's no way I would have bought that. Now this is Tactics, and I honestly don't remember where I got this, but I probably got it at a hardware store because it was, I think it was 10 bucks. Looks like it's got pretty good steel. I haven't even used it yet, but it's got Sierra teeth, and it's 13-inch blade, and it's also curved. So this was a low price point. I don't remember where I got it, but I'm sure it was at a hardware store. It was not at a sporting goods store. You're kind of limited when you go to sporting goods stores. Now, as far as extension saws, you can't really prep a location right on private ground without extension saws. Obviously, you know, these saws are all used on private ground because you're not supposed to do any cutting on public whatsoever. Even though half the time I'm hunting on public land, you know, I still prep a lot of public or a lot of private. So I have all these saws for that. And once in a while, if I'm on public, I get back in there where I've got to cut a few things up in the tree. So I always carry a small folding saw with me up in the tree. So these here are extension saws. Some of them I actually made. Like this one here. This here's a paint pole. It's an extension paint pole. Very, very lightweight. And I took the head off of a different extension saw because it had a really short handle on it, and I put it on this paint pole. And this paint pole, it'll go up there pretty far. This is probably, I bet 14 feet. And a cool thing about this one is this one also has a rope pruner. And I'll show how that works later. But a lot of times if you take the head off a different pole, put it on something like this, extremely lightweight, very versatile. Here's another one that I made. Now this one is also off a painter's pole. This is only a one extension, that one's 3. Again, has a Corona blade on it. So this was a Corona head from quite a few years ago. And I really like Corona because Corona makes awesome saw blades for the price point. Just really, really good. Another good one is Coghlan's. I have a lot of Coghlan's saws. I just didn't bring one. Coghlan's you can find in most sporting goods camping sections, and they make one. It's called a camp saw. They just call it a camp saw. Because that's what most of these are for, is people that are camping and having them around the wood pile. These are Most of these are sold for, you know, general use, the hardware stores for people pruning stuff and, you know, people working out in the woods, not typically for hunting. Then this here's another cheesy little saw. I've had this one a long time. I don't really use it anymore. That's why the blade's all rusty. And as you can see, it does not have Sierra teeth. And that's why I don't use it much anymore. It cuts okay, but it does not cut anything like Sierra teeth do. So I could change the blade on here, and sometime I may if I ever need it. And this one also has a rope pruner on it. Rope pruners are really nice. Now this here is an actual Corona extension saw. So basically it's a two-piece fiberglass. It's all kind of wrapped up, so I can't really do it right now. But it does open up, and this is a 14-footer. And this one has the cheesy blade too. So this is a Corona. We just took this out of the package. I've had this up in my garage for for years, and just took it out of the package, and I just realized just now that this does not have Sierra teeth. So I'll probably swap that out for one of my new Corona Sierra teeth blades. This is the creme de creme. It doesn't get any better than this. These are all silkies. This one is a single extension silky. $205 for this saw. There's a price tag right there. $205. And this saw, I mean, just take a close look at that blade. Look at how aggressive those teeth are. And it also has a cutter at the bottom and a cutter at the top. And those not only will cut little tiny branches by just putting them up against it and just giving it a pull if they're pretty high up off the ground, those also act as stops. So basically you've got a really long cutting stroke, and then you can really pull on it on your stroke all the way to the end, and this is going to stop the blade from sliding out of the slot. Because on all these other saws here, this one, and some other ones I have at home, when you slide that out of the slot, a lot of times on an extension saw, it's hard to get the thing back in the slot again. So, I mean, you always can, but it takes some time. So the cool thing about this is you can give it a really aggressive stroke, and it stops on the end, on either side. And all of these cut on the pull. They don't cut on the push. This one here is a 3 extension. This is a 21-footer. And then this here is a double extension. And these are both silkies as well. If I can get them out. You can just tell that they're very well made. Aluminum poles, very strong. This one here is a 16-footer. Again, that one there's a 3 extension. That's a 21-footer. I can't tell you, I can't begin to tell you how big of a deal it is to have a premium extension saw. It will save you so much time over a cheesy one. Now, the only downside of silky is they don't have rope pruners on them. They're strictly a saw. So while I really do like having rope pruners, the silkies are so aggressive on the cut that I take them 90% of the time. If I'm going back into a place where I know I'm going to have a lot of limp branches and small stuff, because I've already scouted before I'm going to go prep a location, then I'll take a saw that has a rope pruner on it, because those limp branches, you can't cut them with a saw. As soon as you put the saw on them, the branch just bends down. So with a rope pruner, you just put the pruner over the branch and you pull on the rope and it snips them off. Hatchets. You may say, what the heck does he need a hatchet for? Hatchet is something, this is an old one. I've pretty much worn this one out. It's an old marble. This is the one I bought, probably 4 years ago. It's an east wing, whatever you want to call it. And this was $40. By the way, that triple extension silky is $300. The other one was $250. But anyway, what I use a hatchet for is when I'm prepping a really rough bark tree, I use a hatchet to kind of snip the bark off the tree around the steps or the sticks or whatever, and especially because I hunt out of a saddle 100% of the time since 1981. When I'm prepping locations for private ground, obviously, when I get up where I'm actually going to be in the saddle and potentially moving around the tree, if there's any rough bark, I trim that around the tree so the tree tether doesn't hit any rough bark. And around the steps where I'm going to walk around the tree, I always scrape all the bark off, and that's what I use this for. And then I also prep a lot of locations with spikes. And in one of the videos, we're going to show that. So basically, when I drill a 3/8 inch hole with a cordless drill and a Irwin 3/8, what was that bit called? Speed bore bit. And they're about $8 a piece. And then I take out a 3/8 diameter by 10-inch long spike, and I basically take this on the side, I stick it in the hole and tap it till it gets started, then I turn around and I'll tap it in all the way till the end with this here. And unlike a lot of those little drill and carbon rods where you drill a hole and then you just slide the carbon rod in and pull it back out when you're done, when you do it the way I'm talking about, once you tap that spike in, it's there, it's not coming out. So that's what I use a hatchet for, and I use a hatchet a lot. I used it today. Machete, don't use a machete much. Almost cut my hand off with a machete once. My brother did. We were prepping a location together, but that's another story. Machete just doesn't really have a lot of place. It's too cumbersome to carry because it's so dang long, and you have to have it in a sheath. And these camp saws, they work better than this for cutting small stuff anyway. You get that, you just swing on small stuff, little tiny, pencil-sized saplings. You just swing those things and hit it with the tip of the blade, and it'll pop them right off. They're just so aggressive teeth. And then probably lastly, we've got, I guess these are called Ratchet Pruners. These were the first ones that I know of. They're made by Florian. I've had these for probably 30 years. And basically this is how they work. Really quick, real simple. They just ratchet. So there's several different brands here, but this one here is a Florian. I think this one's a Florian as well, just camo. You can buy these at any hardware. Most sporting goods stores sell Ratchet Pruners. These are kind of nice just for if you're in an area with a lot of red brush, a lot of limp stuff. You're going through a cattail marsh, you're going up a oak tree or something, and it's grown a lot of little saplings since spring, just for snipping those off. So these things all work pretty well. And they all have little stops on them. And what's cool is because they're ratchet, they just go click, 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 and it just takes bites a little bit more each time. So it's not like you're putting a whole lot of torque on it each time you press this. It's not a lot of torque, but it does a lot of cutting. That's about, oh, I'm sorry. Got one other thing here. If I'm in a spot, obviously I'm private again. If I'm in a spot where I need to cut a lot of stuff, and again, I've already scouted it. I know what the location's going to require as far as, prepping it for shooting lanes. And I know what the tree is going to require for cleaning out the tree. About 5 or 6 years ago, I bought this steel extension chainsaw. And it's a pain to carry around in the woods. But I'll tell you what, it just does such a phenomenal job. It cuts so fast. I'm going to step over here in front of it. It cuts so fast, and right now it's all the way in. So basically this turns. My left shoulder's still a little messed up, so. So anyway, I don't know exactly how long it goes, but it goes pretty long, plus your height, whatever height you are. And obviously this works exactly like a chainsaw, so this cuts really, really fast, and you can, you know, even if I've got trees to cut and I got to cut them down at the base, this works great for that too. So even though it's an extension chainsaw for cutting stuff up above, it also, you know, it's not something like if you got trees to cut, this is all you need to carry, because you can cut the trees at the ground or you can cut branches up high. You don't have to carry this and a chainsaw as well. This will do everything. I also bought, for like clearing runways for deer through like patches of red brush and briars, because a lot of times I get down into these tangles that are where the deer actually have to skirt the outside perimeter of the briars and the tangles because there's no, it's just too dense to put runways through. I will actually, if I've got a tree and it's a nice hunting tree, I will prep the tree and then I'll cut with this steel trimmer. It's like a weed whip, except instead of having the like monofilament trimmers for weeds, it actually has a saw blade. And then I'll go through and I will clear runways through those briars exactly where I want the deer to go. And I'll tell you what, path of least resistance. Deer always take the path of least resistance as long as there's good security cover. And you make a few runways through a patch of briars or brush or whatever, deer will definitely start using it in a very, very short period of time. And because I do all my scouting during postseason, they've got all summer to use it and get used to it. So that thing works really, really great. And they do also make extension chainsaws that are battery powered. I've owned a couple of them. I did not care for them at all. They just didn't do the job. Nothing like this does. They're okay, but for doing any big work, they're just way, way, way too slow and the batteries die too quick. But again, as far as sporting goods, because that's what we're doing, we're hunting and fishing guys. Sporting goods wise, Huey Man and Wicked are the two main saw companies that actually supply sporting goods stores, sell the sporting goods. So Wicked is definitely the best of the two because it's just stronger, it's better made, has better steel, more aggressive teeth on it, even though they're both Sierra. And as far as extension saws, if you want to get an extension saw that's the best saw you'll ever own, Silky and Steel, but you're looking at $200 to $300, $200 to $300 for a Silky or a Steel. But they'll get the job done a lot faster. Wicked's real good. Huey Man's Coghlan's makes a great camp saw. Coghlan's also sells into sporting goods stores. Corona is a really good brand. You'll have to go to hardwares to find that. But Silky and Steel, you're going to have to go to specialty shops or buy them online. Sporting goods wise, you're going to have Huey Man and Wicked. Those are the two main ones. A lot of companies make hand saws, folding hand saws. Everybody makes those. But as far as getting a nice extension saw for hunting in a sporting goods store, it's going to probably be Wicked. And you know what? I thank you for your time. I hope you learned something. And I tell you what, if you're going to do something, do it right. Get the best saws you can get. Make the least amount of work that you have to do and make it as easy as you can. And I can't even begin to tell you how many times I've walked through the woods and seen locations, you know, tree stands, and there's no shooting lanes. I mean, yeah, they may be up the tree nice or whatever, but there's no shooting lanes. You know, I walk around the tree and I'm like, they don't have a shot anyplace. If you're gonna hunt, you might as well have a shot. So clear some shooting lanes, and to clear shooting lanes, you want it to be as easy as you can. So buy good equipment. You know, you won't have to buy it as frequently. And definitely have a camp saw, a long bladed saw, sheath saw if you can. That's what you will use by far more than anything. Folding saws, I hardly ever use those little folding saws anymore. They're just too much work. Those saws right over there, those camp saws with those longer 12 to 14 inch blades that go on your belt, those things are They are just awesome.